और ओवरऑल टीचिंग कम्युनिटी को जो किसी भी तरह से इंटरनेट या को इस्तेमाल करना चाह रहे हो इंटरनेट को अपने स्कूलों के लिए या अपने इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए। टर्न अराउंड अभी तक थोड़ा कम है, हमने इसीलिए 10:30 कहा था कि 11 तक वही चीज़ें भर जाएगा, बट विल गेट स्टार्टेड। हमारे साथ आज मिस सुजैन स्ले हैं, फ्लोरिडा में एक स्कूल है कार्वर मिडल के नाम से, ये वहाँ पे टीचर। देन we have Mr. Kazim Saeed, who is President of Internet Society of Pakistan, and he'll give you a small briefing about what internet is. Before we get started, I would like to know how many people over here are using internet at this time. And just email. Excuse me? Okay. How many people have their own personal email address over here? Okay. So Kazim would just give you a brief idea about internet's history and what's going on with it at this time and what internet society of Pakistan is. Kazim?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. अच्छा, my name again Kazim Saeed. ये सेशन की कोशिश ये थी कि इसको इनफॉर्मल रखें, क्योंकि मैंने टाइम पहन ली. I'm sorry about that. The main highlight is going to be Ms. Suzanne Slay's presentation about how the internet can be used as a tool in the school. And she has plenty of experience in that. She's been involved in US public school teaching for the last 8 years, and also in instructional technology, what is coming up to be known as instructional technology. So, unki presentation is specific about what you can do in the school and her experience in Florida. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to resist the temptation of trying to pose myself as an expert on the internet and try to give you all the jargon. Because there probably are a number of people who have not used the internet. ज़्यादा situation को confuse करना नहीं चाहता हूँ मैं. एक तो introductory चीज़ें मैं आपको बताऊँगा ज़रूर, and then we can get going. Basically, सवाल जो है कि internet क्या चीज़ है? Physically, it is the interconnection by telephone lines or satellites of a huge number of computers in the world. ये कंप्यूटर यहाँ रखा हुआ है, इसको इससे कनेक्ट कर दें तो नेटवर्क कहा जा सकता है एक से ज़्यादा कंप्यूटर को. और you don't have to take notes here, कुछ आपको लिटरेचर पास ऑन किया जा रहा है. If you now connect 5,000 computers in Florida and 15,000 in the UK and 20,000 other computers in Lahore and whatever into a network, that's the internet for you. Or there are millions of computers now which have information on them about all kinds of things. NASA जो है उसके अगले मार्च तक कौन से शटल्स कहाँ जा रही हैं, NASA ने अपनी इंफॉर्मेशन डाली हुई है. मैसेच्यूसेट्स इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी ने ये डाली हुई है कि हमारे लड़के कोर्सेज कौन से ले रहे हैं, प्रोफेसर रिसर्च क्या कर रहे हैं, इस तरह की चीज़ें. US गवर्नमेंट ने डाली हुई है कि जी हमारे इमिग्रेशन पे रेगुलेशंस क्या हैं. So the internet becomes a resource for doing two things. Number one, for communicating with other people, क्योंकि कनेक्शंस आपस में हुए हुए. So अपनी फुप्पी को शिकागो में आप लिख सकते हैं कि जी मैं हफ्ते की शाम 7 बजे पहुंच रहा हूँ, इस तरह की चीज़ें, and it will get there in 1 minute. और दूसरी चीज़ एक कम्युनिकेशन हो गई, दूसरी चीज़ है इंफॉर्मेशन की रिसोर्स. The internet is sometimes called the largest library in the world because it's got just so much information out there. और इन दोनों चीज़ों की वजह से I would suggest to you that as people involved in education in Pakistan, एक चीज़ बिल्कुल यकीन के साथ आप लोग आज से अगर लेके चलें, and I hope some of you already have this before, कि एजुकेशन के लिए the internet is probably the savior, the resource. In countries like the US or the UK, where you turn the corner in any small town and you have a wonderful library, जिसके अंदर encyclopedias हैं, हर चीज़ दुनिया की मौजूद है, computers हैं जो बच्चे इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं या और लोग भी एजुकेशन जाते हैं. वहाँ पे they probably not going to think about the internet, and it's wonderful that Suzanne has done work on internet education, but one would expect that less work would be done there in this area because so many educational resources are available outside of the internet. पाकिस्तान जैसी जगह में the internet becomes a tremendous resource precisely because हमारे पास वो सहूलतें मौजूद नहीं हैं, वो लाइब्रेरीज मौजूद नहीं हैं, वो रिसोर्स नहीं है, पैसा नहीं है. Therefore, if the Library of Congress has put on a lot of information, a number of books and subtitles सारे information डाली हुई है, that becomes a resource for us here क्योंकि हमारी लाइब्रेरी यानी नहीं कर रही है या हमारे पास नहीं है. That's something to think about. उसके बाद एक दो ऑब्जर्वेशंस हैं. Are there any questions at this point? इंटरनेट के बारे में मैं बहुत सिंपल सी बातें बता रहा हूँ मैं. एक दो चीज़ें जो ऑब्जर्वेशंस हैं in terms of approach towards the internet. A lot of people, particularly in Pakistan or other third world countries, when they think about high technology, the first impression that comes to their mind is यार ये कोई advanced मुल्कों के लिए कोई चीज़ है. Don't think that. Absolutely do not think that. Because here's a computer, here is a connection to the internet, and you are on. And you are as much part of the internet as anybody anywhere else in the world. Internet की जो पूरी philosophy है, the whole philosophy of the internet is based on this idea कि यार आप और आप और आप और आप और आप सब अपने अपनी चीज़ें, अपनी इंफॉर्मेशन डालें, अपना काम उसमें करें, communicate as you would like, and that is the basic philosophy of the internet. Nobody owns the internet, nobody runs the internet as such. So ये चीज़ बिल्कुल सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है कि यार हम यहाँ पाकिस्तान में तो हमें कुछ स्पेशल चीज़ें करनी होंगी या 5 साल बाद जब मंसूबा हमारा 5 साल खत्म होगा. Don't think that. You can get connected now and be on the internet as much as anybody else in the world. एक चीज़ तो ये जरूर होती है. और दूसरी ये कि there is only one level on the internet, and that's the global level. Because Pakistan is not as international a country as say Singapore, जहाँ दुनिया के फॉर्म अरबा आ रही है, thousands of people keep passing through, travelers, whatever. Pakistan is not quite like that. इसलिए a lot of us tend to think of Karachi as the universe. और वो बाहर की चीज़ें तो वो बाहर का तो खत लिखा जाएगा ये वो. There is no need to think like that. The guy who's sitting in the next room is just as far from you as the guy sitting in Stockholm who was connected on the internet. There's only one level. ग्लोबल सीन है. आपने यहाँ से ईमेल लिखा, बंदा लाहौर में बैठा हुआ है, उसने 15 मिनट में आपको जवाब दे दिया. ये एक जरा मेंटल लीप है which you have to kind of take. Maybe as people working in a school situation, you will be doing that much more than other people. Because और तमाम दुनिया में जहाँ जहाँ टीचर्स जो काम कर रहे हैं उनसे इस्तेफादा, उनसे कोलैबोरेशन, असिस्टेंस, ये वो चीज़ों में शायद आपको सबसे ज़्यादा काम करना पड़ेगा. With that, I think if there are any other questions, जी.
ये कंफ्यूजन पैदा होता है कि विंडो 95 और 3.1 क्या इंटरनेट सिर्फ विंडो 95 पे ही चलता है कि 3.1 पे भी?
नहीं, ये तो इसका जवाब तो बिल्कुल ये है कि दोनों में चलता है. कोई वैसा मसला नहीं है, बल्कि इससे ज़्यादा और ज़्यादा ना कंफर्ट आपका लेवल जो है वो और बढ़ा दूँ ये कह के कि लोग ये समझते हैं कि जी ये पेंटियम और 486 और नहीं 286 पे भी चलता है इंटरनेट. बाय द वे, पीपल डोंट नो दिस. यार
कुछ कंपनीज ऐसी कह रही है ना कि विंडो 95 है और हमारा
नहीं, ये that's not true at all.
वो स्पीड के लिए
वो किसी और वजह से कह रही होंगी आपसे, बिकॉज उनके सिस्टम पे कुछ सहूलतें जो है वो विंडोज 95 से अवेलेबल है. लेकिन बेस इंटरनेट, ईमेल, वर्ल्ड वाइड वेब इज अवेलेबल. यू कैन डू इट विद द 286 इफ यू रियली हैव टू ट्राई ऑन द वर्क. बहुत ही हालात बुरे हैं तो इट इज पॉसिबल. एंड द इंटरनेट स्ट्रेटजी ऑफ पाकिस्तान, अब मैं इस पे आ जाऊँ कि इंटरनेट स्ट्रेटजी ऑफ पाकिस्तान जी
सर आप कह रहे हैं 286 में इंटरनेट चल सकता है.
मतलब बिल्कुल बेसिक. मतलब आप इस तरह समझिए कि जिस तरह बात होती है ना कि यार सिविक जो है वो 97 की चाहिए. यार 84 में भी करोला थी, अभी भी करोला है यार. तो 84 की 82 की जिसके पास है यार उसको ये तो नहीं बोलोगे आप 30 चला सकते हैं. तो चला सकते हैं यार, ऐसे क्या मसला है, राइट? इस तरह का फर्क है. फाइन, यू नॉट गोना हैव दोस फैंसी थिंग्स इन इट, इट मे बी स्लो एंड ऑल दैट, बट इफ यू रियली कम डाउन टू इट, यार पाकिस्तान में जुगाड़ चलता है यार. कम ऑन, इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी इंडस्ट्री में क्या क्या पाकिस्तानी कर रहे हैं इस वक्त. यू डोंट वरी अबाउट दीस थिंग्स कि जी वो फला नहीं हो सकता, ये वो हो सब कुछ सकता है विद इन राइट हियर इन पाकिस्तान. ऑल दीस थिंग्स आर पॉसिबल. आई मीन देयर आर हार्डली एनी थिंग्स दैट यू कांट डू बिकॉज वो अमेरिका से टेक्नोलॉजी आएगी. पाकिस्तान में हर किस्म के हार्ड ड्राइव्स और सॉफ्टवेयर हर चीज़ अवेलेबल है. डोंट हैव टू रियली वरी अबाउट दैट पार्ट. सवाल सिर्फ ये है कि यार आप क्या करने को तैयार है इसके साथ. हाउ मच टाइम आर यू गोइंग टू गिव इट, हाउ मच creativity are you wanting to put into it. सिर्फ इसकी बात है. And that's the challenge all over the world. And even in America, the question is technology is very much. The question is who can be more creative with it, who can produce that other new thing, right? And that's where you come in. So far as learning the internet goes, a lot of people think that learning internet or computers is a long drawn process. उसमें time लगेगा और पैसा खर्च होगा, courses लूँगा मैं ये वो. एक चीज़ जो ज़रूरी है, that's probably true. लेकिन one thing to keep in mind is learning computers or learning the internet or in general computers is just like learning how to drive. And I don't know if all of you know how to drive. You probably do. But somebody can sit down and tell you कि यार ये clutch है और यूँ करके इसमें accelerator से यूँ balance करके यूँ चलाएंगे तो ये होगा. You can understand that like that in 15-20 minutes. But no matter who you are, no matter how smart you are, you'll have to spend those 4 months just making mistakes and वो clutch दब गया गलत तो फला ब्रेक मार दिया accelerator की जगह. Just have to do it and in 4 months time you'll just be a good driver, right? So the computer is just like a machine, just a machine like that. So you will make those mistakes, you will be afraid in the beginning, and same with the internet, but it's just like any other machine. So don't have that kind of fear of the unknown as to them say. ये 2-3 चीज़ें मैं चाह रहा था आप लोगों से कहना. The test of it is really in just sitting on the machine and doing it. And थोड़े दिन में आदमी खुद ही चस्का लग के वो मतलब टीवी भी चलाना लोग जो है वो बड़े बड़े रिमोट कंट्रोल आ गए हैं, वो भी सब लोगों ने मास्टर कर लिए, तो इतना कोई मसला नहीं. नेक्स्ट ऑन दीजिए ध्यान. नेक्स्ट इज सुजैन. हाँ, ज़हीर भाई साहब जो इंटरनेट स्टडी पाकिस्तान के बारे में कुछ मैं चीज़ें आपको बता दूँ. the idea is कुछ इसके forms मैंने basic forms copy करा के रखे हैं, which I'll pass around for you. Basic objective of the Internet Society of Pakistan is to create a national platform, which is organization which aims to make the internet a part of the Pakistani lifestyle. इसके अंदर सबसे बड़ा area तो education और medicine ही है, where Pakistan, countries like Pakistan need the internet much more than maybe other countries do, where education and medicine are much more developed. So उसमें right now it's still being convened and it's in the process of its birth. And I'm happy to say this is one of the first events that the Internet Society is doing. Zahir Kadwai साहब जो education के area की जिम्मेदारी लिए हुए हैं, it's not here yet, but he'll be here a little later to speak to you about what is already being done in Pakistan, so far as computers, information technology, and the internet goes. Rehan, I think Suzanne is the next person on. Now I think I'll just pass on to Suzanne. I think I've given enough of an introduction about you, so go ahead and fill in the gaps. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Suzanne Slay, and on the agenda it describes some of my qualifications, but I think most important is that I've been a teacher for 8 years in the public school system of Florida in the United States. And because of the internet, I have some of the greatest friends that I could ever have in my life. Rehan and his fiance and their families, and I only met them a little over 1 year ago. And this is by the internet with email. An email is just like a letter, but instead of putting it in an envelope and putting it in the post office, you just type it on your computer, click send, and it's there. I really enjoy being in Pakistan. I've been here since March 23rd, and one observation that I made, and I don't quite understand it, I was wondering if you could help me. I attended a small wedding party of my good friend Rehan's fiance, and one girl had orange right here and orange colors here on her hands and fingers, and she was rubbing them, and I was wondering what is that for? Henna. Henna? Oh, okay, all right. Learn something new, thank you very much. What I would like to do is tell you about the story of the internet use at my school. The name of my school is George Washington Carver Middle School. It wasn't easy to get it started, but and it wasn't achieved overnight. But because of a lot of effort, devotion, time, energy, maybe upon my part and some of the friends that I made on the internet, we were able to overcome problems and the fear. Part of the fear of getting started with computers and the internet is not knowing what to do, not knowing how to do it, not even understanding what you're doing. I think it would all begin with a philosophy. If you're a teacher or you're interested in the education of students, you have to believe that all children can learn, and they will learn no matter what. They will learn if their assignments are interesting and meaningful, and there's a real audience who will be interested in what they have to offer. You know, if you have them take a pencil and pen test, they know you're going to correct it, and it'll end up in the trash. But with the internet, they are corresponding and writing for real people who are going to write back to them, and they're going to learn so much, as I'm going to describe to you in a little while. There are many advantages to having students write to each other. It was like Mr. Kazim was saying, we often think that our area of the world is the only area. This is it. This is my world right here. That the internet widens your world. You learn about all ways of thinking, culture, religion, dress, food. You know, there's just no limit to it, and it opens your eyes up and makes you more accepting of other people. In fact, my class and I knew very little about Pakistan, and we knew it had something to do with, at one time, being part of Bangladesh, and there were some riots and things like that here, and you know, we just didn't know very much. And now, actually, I would say that Pakistan is our favorite country in the whole world, and it is because of the internet. The education that students and teachers and administrators get from the internet is much more interesting and exciting than opening a book, because whoever you're corresponding with is a live person, telling their thoughts and feelings at the moment. If you have a question, you get an immediate answer. You don't have to keep looking and looking and looking. I would say, if you're here because you're an administrator or someone interested in the school system, that there are 3 main advantages to getting the internet into the school system. For one thing, it speeds learning. And the reason for that is it's convenient, it's fast. I mean, if you were to have a student, you ask them a question, I want you to write a research paper on this topic. It will take them weeks and weeks to look up information in the library and do the cards and do the outline and then the paper itself, you know, and then the final draft. But whereas if you have them do a research paper and they have access to the internet, they can send email to people who are experts in that research area and get an immediate answer. They can get on the internet and access home pages, which if you don't know about that, that will be explained today. And the home pages are full of information. So it speeds learning. So then if you're interested in education of students, they're going to learn more faster. And they're going to enjoy what they're doing. The second thing, as a teacher, you have a whole classroom of students, and you're teaching them all the same thing. But actually, each child is different. Each child can read differently, write differently, think differently, and when you can use the internet, you can be more of a guider, a teacher of guidance, and you can individualize, and each student can be where they're at and move forward from there rather than treating them all the same. So that's the second advantage. The third advantage, I think, is the most important. We want to help students get ready for real life, right? We want to help students get ready for a career, to be able to earn a living and live a good, successful life. So the skills that you learn with the internet are needed, especially in professional careers, like word processing, the use of the internet, solving problems, becoming familiar with the geography and the cultures of the world. I know now, I mean, I'm a teacher, and I know now about rivers and mountains and the weather and, you know, religion, all kinds of things of different countries, including Pakistan. And it's because of the internet. So even I have become a student. I'm a teacher, but even I have become a student because of the internet. Okay, if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, sure, it was real easy for her. Someone probably gave her a bunch of computers. It was no problem to get her students on the internet, but it's not true. In 1991, there were no computers in my classroom, none. So this is just 6 years ago. I brought my computer from home to my classroom because I wanted my students to have access. I didn't have the internet yet. I used the computers for word processing and simple drill to skill software like spelling practice, grammar practice, that type of thing. But I only had it available after school for 15 minutes and during lunch. I was scared to death to let students on the computer during class because I thought they would misbehave. You know, I thought if one student was on the computer, the rest would be, you know, all antsy and not be able to sit still. So if you're looking for a way to get started, you would be surprised. Even you may have a friend who has an old computer laying around they don't use much. I would like to borrow that until I can get computers in my classroom. All right, well, we did that for 1 year. Then in 1992, for 2 years, what I did was I went to the warehouse. We have a special warehouse in our county for the school system. And it's where there's old junky things, textbooks, old computers that they really want to trash, throw away. I was looking at all of it, and I noticed that they had 12 Mac Classics. Now these are dinosaur Macintosh computers, all right, caveman type computers. They had 2 megabytes of RAM each, and they had very little capability in them, but I found out I could get to the internet with them. I could set them up. So I asked them for them. I said, this is how I will use them in my class. Can I please have them? And I talked them into it. So we hauled them up to my school. And we did try to network them together. All right, now from there, let's see. It was 1995. 1995, I wanted more computers in my classroom. So I started walking through the building and I asked each teacher, are you using that computer? Are you using that printer? And if they said no, then I said, can I use it? So then I was able to build the set of computers in my classroom. Also, I don't know what's available here in Pakistan, but I do know that on the internet, teachers can apply for grants. Grants are money for your classroom, for your schools. Okay, and what that means is there are organizations who will give you money to buy equipment and software for your classroom to get your students started on the internet. Okay? Grants. It's like an application from a private or governmental company, and you fill it out with your name, the name of your school, phone number, how you would use the equipment, and if they believe that you are sincere, then you will probably get the grant and you will receive the equipment and software. I'm looking at, I don't know if you have this, but Join the Exciting World of the Internet Schools, that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm turning over to the next page. This past year, I think, has been the most exciting year because I received more grants and received help and support from teacher contests and Partners in Education. A partner in education is like Pakistan Computers and Rehan Ahmed. He's one of my school's partners in education. A partner in education is someone who is willing to help your school move ahead. So if you are with a school, that's one thing you can do is ask different businesses if they will be your school sponsor, even if it's just for advice. A computer company might be willing to give your school advice, computer advice, and that's worth a lot of money. They can donate that time. Let's see, I don't
We
see
have
it.
a 9% contact scholar
Oh, you do?
on video.
Who?
Some guy named Ray and Elaine.
Okay. You can,
This is unbelievable.
right now on this laptop, we have a person who you can see their face. I should turn it, let them see.
They want to
All right, you can see their face, and they are able to type live back and forth. They can see you right now. That right there is a camera. And this man, who is in Florida, can see you right now. Okay? This is one of the most exciting new things that are available with the internet. And we do have one of these. That's a QuickCam camera. And we have one of these in our classroom. It was donated by our partner in education. I want to pay some special respects to Pakistan Computers, and Rehan Ahmed. He started with our school as our first outside of the USA electronic pal. He was our first friend outside of the USA by internet. So he's very special to us. Next, he helped us to get our own home page. A home page, what is it? It's like, you know how everyone has their own home? It's your place. You have your furniture, you have certain food, okay? That's your home. Well, on the internet, you can have a home, okay? A little home that people can come visit, and it's all about you. Well, Rehan Ahmed and his company helped us make our home on the internet that people can come visit and get information about it. If it wasn't for this company, we would still be struggling with email. I remember the first email that I sent someone, I said, would you please reply to me and tell me what my email address is? I didn't even know what my email address was. So, you know, I started as a real beginner. Okay, another problem is normally what do you have in a classroom? A bunch of desks, right? Chairs and a desk for students to write and read at. There are lots of ways that you can arrange a classroom to use computers in it. For example, you can have a computer lab setting. That's where you take all the computers in the school and put them in one room. That's quite often the most common method. What happens then is groups of students in the school will rotate in and out every day. They have a set time, the teacher in there, and the teacher has an assignment they want to do, like maybe read their email, write back, type an essay, something like that. You can have your lab open during lunch. At my school, students, if they're through eating, they can go in the computer lab and use the computers. And who ever heard of a kid wanting to work during lunch? You know what I'm saying? During lunch, students just want to eat and play. But with a computer, students will even stop from eating and go work on a computer. Okay, if you're worried about computers being cost effective, one thing we do at our school is we have our lab open at night and on the weekends for the community. Parents are invited for classes, business people, managers of businesses, owners of businesses. They send their employees to our school at night to learn computer skills. And guess who teaches them the skills? Our students. Okay? And so we are actually helping our whole community. You can do that here. You have a few computers. It doesn't stop at the end of the school day. You can actually help your whole community with the computers in your school and involve the students. The other way to set up your classroom with computers, you may have only one computer. That's enough. Yes, it is. In fact, in my classroom, I now have 15 computers, but I only have one connected to the internet. And what I do is I have each student buy a 3.5-inch disc at the beginning of the school year, and when they get email on my computer at my desk, I print it out and I give it to them. They go to another computer, read their email, type their answer, give me their disc, and either I or another student sticks it in the main computer and sends it off. So all you need is one computer with one internet access. Okay, on this second sheet, I just wanted to show you, I'm not going to read this to you, but down here it says, how Pakistan Computers can help a school to move forward to help students enter our technological world. He and his company can help your school use an email program. He can give you advice and help you to set up computers on a network, a LAN, local area network. He can give you advice for internet use. He can help you make a free homepage and get you in contact with other interested schools. Over here you will see his name, company, and email address. This is my name, my school's email address. Down here is another school in Tampa, Florida. You can get more information. There's an address if you want to write a post letter to get some information. And here are some home pages if you have access to the internet. Now I want to take just the next few minutes to tell you a few stories about what has happened since I've been using the internet with my students. One of the first sets of classroom email trades, trading email, was that my students were corresponding with a middle school in Marianna, Florida. But these were not normal students. These were students aged 13, 14, and 15 who had committed serious crimes. I mean, these students, my students were writing to, had committed murder, burglary, breaking and entering, robbery, and they were only 13, 14, and 15 years old. My students started writing to them, and my students learned so much. They learned about the sadness inside of a young person when they have committed such a scary thing at such a young age, and they feel that their lives are over. But my students kind of helped give them hope. And in the other way, they helped my students to see, obey the law, you know, and they learned without getting in trouble. They learned vicariously. And this would not have happened if it weren't for the internet, you know. Another experience is there is a man named Mustansir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay. He is the owner of a joke list as well as other items. if it weren't for his jokes, my students would not be laughing as much as they do. He sends them jokes like daily. We print them out, and I pass them out to the students, and they read them out loud, and we just have a great time. In fact, I hope to tell one of those jokes in a little while that we got from him. Really exciting things you can see.
We have this guy from Pensacola.
Okay.
And I requested him to give us a small speech.
Okay, good.
So he is basically at this time in the city where she is from, and it's very unusual that this guy is present at this time, and these particular guy is also very interesting. So I'll just look up the speakers, and you can all hear it. You can also see them in the video, but you can over here. So this is live. Okay.
It is.
Connect the right kind of a person here in USA because we in broadcasting, we have been broadcasting ourselves years. As a matter of fact, we've sold our own radio station and playing radio officer here. A little different from, excuse me, that cold. A little different form of communicating after you said yes, sir. So you could understand what ham radio is. Step forward all the time. So if you want to say anything, you just simply type, and I'll see what you say, and I'll continue talking. Everyone, Roger, excuse me.
What's his name?
We have a lady in the room with us. Her name is Elaine. Her head right now. For me not to put her on camera because the Easter Sunday is kind of airing a little bit. And, well, if me and the lady, if they get television, they want to be framed up and looking right and that kind of thing. But understand everyone's very excited. And we'll help everyone there. Thank you very much on You're So Cool. Thank you. It's our pleasure to welcome you into your class there. And everyone back to us. If anyone there has a specific question, why don't you ask me a specific question about the or this kind of activity? I'll best to answer it if we can on this end.
Does anybody have any questions? He wants to answer questions.
I-E-M-S-T-I-N-E. It might elaborate on what you mean by that. Okay, email. Understand. Your mail address. Okay. Our email address here is E as in so. Elaine, write this loud. And I want your email. We're going to give you an email in just a minute. But let me give you Elaine Pewter email address here. My name is Ray, and Elaine here. Our email address is simply E as in Echo, C as in Charlie, A-M-A-G-I-E-S. At AOL.com. Cameron, AOL.com. You will press the press.
Ask him to repeat it.
You will use a button right now. You will see Elaine's email address on that. That'll come up there. You're saying you type here. Roger, you're going to type our email address to you right now. Your email address right now.
AGIES at AOL.com.
There it is, right. I should have thought of that. Makes it easier for you. ecampbees@AOL.com. And I think do you have the site now where we can send them an email? Okay, Elaine has gotten your email address. And okay, Roger on that. And we're going to send you an email when we sign off here. Suzanne's email is, and I'm looking at the screen. Okay, get this one right here also, Elaine. LRAV96@AOL.com also. Yes, with you. We will stay with you. And,
okay, he's asking if anybody wants to ask him questions. I'll just type him in and I can talk also with him at this time, but the environment wouldn't be very clear. So I'd rather type the question and he can answer you. Can you guys hear him? Yeah, basically the idea was to give you an idea of what video conferencing is, and this is costing us like 50 rupees an hour. I mean, it's not very expensive. So 50 rupees an hour, you're talking to the US for free. I mean, 50 rupees an hour, we don't count as such an amount. So, yeah, if you make a local normal call, it would like 70 rupees a minute to the US. But this is like in front of you and it's literally free. And you can also have a video, and the camera is like $100, like $100, 4,000 rupees. I mean, 4,000 rupees for this type of stuff is not something very expensive. So now today the cost of communication has gone real low, and at this time we have some problems. I mean, somebody says that it's legal, somebody says it's not illegal. We don't have any kind of written notification fee, so it's better that we do not do it normally. But people are doing it, and they are enjoying things like that.
ध्यान है क्वेश्चन फॉर हिम उनसे पूछे कि जनाब इस उम्र में उन्होंने क्या ईमेल इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं
ये एमेचर रेडियो ऑपरेटर है। एमेचर रेडियो ऑपरेटर जैसे बहुत शौकीन होते हैं, इसी तरह इंटरनेट पे रेडियो खोले गए हैं।
नहीं, ये हजरत क्या कर रहे हैं जो हजरत क्वेश्चन पूछे ना,
एमेचर रेडियो ऑपरेटर है और ये अपना इन्होंने रेडियो था, अब उसको इंटरनेट पे ले आए हैं। जो लोग पहले एमेचर रेडियो उस वक्त होता था जब नॉर्मल टेलीफोन भी ज़्यादा, मतलब एमेचर रेडियो में भी बिल्कुल ऐसे होता है कि आप अमेरिका बात करते हैं लिटरली फॉर फ्री। सेम इंटरनेट पे भी ये होता है कि आप कहीं भी दुनिया बात कर सकते हैं लिटरली फॉर फ्री। इन्होंने अपना रेडियो शुरू किया है इंटरनेट पे, नॉट ऑन आईफोन, बट यू कैन हैव वन वे कम्युनिकेशन। नेक्स्ट फेज में वीडियो आ रही है, इट्स ऑलरेडी है। इफ यू वांट आई कैन गिव यू अ डेमो फॉर दैट आल्सो। यू कैन सी लाइव मूवीज, एनीथिंग यू वांट live. I mean, it just released 3 days ago, and it's something very exciting, which is going to take over eventually on the satellite and everything. But at this time, he is saying that he's an amateur radio operator, and he's starting his own radio channel on the internet. So you can just load a program, and he can hear the music or whatever. I mean, you can start your own radio station using a laptop, and it will be broadcasted all over the world. So you don't need, I mean, that kind of resources to open a channel now. ये जो है इसे सॉफ्टवेयर पे जी ये इंटरनेट फोन किस कंपनी का? GoProtect। Any more questions? और मैं इनको खुदा हाफिज़ कह दूँ।
50 रुपए घंटा
चार्जेस तो दोनों साइड रखते होंगे ना, वहाँ भी ऊपर
Normally, America में अब जो the rates in the US nowadays are like, I mean, she used to be paying $4 an hour. I mean, it was more expensive than in Pakistan 3 months ago. At the same time, when IBM was launched over here, we got her an IBM account. IBM gives an account. One account can be used in 6 people basically. So she is using an account. Same account is being used in our New York office. Same account is being used in Pakistan. So that particular account for $20 is being used in the US at the same time, 2 places at the same time, and in Pakistan. So in Pakistan also it's like 1,500 rupees per month fixed charges. And the US also, America Online is giving $20 a month. Almost everybody is going on a flat rate because it's going to be a necessity. We were expecting a guy from school from Germany now, but he isn't here yet. Maybe he'll be here in half an hour. Their telephone charges are like 50 rupees an hour, or I mean maybe more. Just telephone. I mean, internet is cheaper than telephone. Okay, so they end up paying more bill in the local telephone charge than paying on the internet. In Europe, this is a big problem. I mean, Pakistan, this came up, so everybody shouted against it that 5 minute हम नहीं रह सकते. इसी तरह यूरोप पूरा इसी तरह है कि they have to pay a very large price in that. Zahir ka dwai? Okay.
That's not the question.
Question is that fine, you can contact people and do video conferencing and email them. The first question is how do you get in touch with them? How do you know Ray? So how?
Why did you choose?
Why did you choose?
Why you chose
I
Ray?
just logged down this.
Because people here might not know many people out
Okay,
there.
it's a very good question. I just logged down this program to look for to start broadcasting this seminar to everybody who wants to see it. We can have another broadcast type program which will literally broadcast this thing and anybody who wants to see will be able to see it. Yeah, but at this time there's only 2 people involved. But on the other case there would be as many people involved. We have a reflector site. I mean, it's a little complicated what it does it, but it can be done using a simple small PC. How I found it was I was looking for those people and I just saw Pensacola, Florida, and I was like, oh man, I mean this is the same city where she is from, and this is going to be more than excited that if she could like find somebody exactly from there. So I
don't know him.
we never knew this person before in our life.
No, she doesn't know.
The point is that,
Chance.
yeah, we never knew this person before. I have never talked to him before. I have never seen him before, and he is so friendly. I mean, this is how you make friends on the internet, just like that. Because there is no fear of somebody will harm you, somebody will tease you, or anything. If you don't like him, just press the hang up, bye bye. It wouldn't harm anything. You know?
Okay. Excuse me, what about the speed 14.0?
At this time on 28.8, it also works on 9600 using a PTC account. It works like hell. It works
What do
perfectly.
you prefer to start the internet on a speed?
You have all the notes in your hand. Every phone number, every note. Why this one? Why
Next part जो हम speed देखते हैं ना 14.4 आजकल
28.8 को modem is more than enough.
Are your children?
With some schools online,
All right.
Yeah, we were expecting some schools online, and one school from Australia, one was Germany, and Houston. So, but at this time nobody is there. So we just we gave them a time of 12 noon. So they will be here like in half an hour. And we can have a literally online chat with them. And anybody who wants to do anything. This is only the beginning. In the end of this, the voice quality is still not so clear. But in the end of this year, the voice quality is expected to go very, very high. And we expect in the next 2 years, your normal phone line would be replaced by this. Just in 2 years' time, because it's going to get so cheap. Yes. Pakistan is one of the leading countries in all this area. Believe it or not, it's better than UAE. It's better than Singapore in some terms. Singapore is much expensive than Pakistan. China is way behind Pakistan. India is way behind Pakistan. I don't know how it's a miracle that we are just forward. Yeah.
Are you inviting or expecting a lot of schools to join your help?
Basically, the theme is that we would like to help any school who wants to get online. We have offered 3 schools at this time in the last 3 days to get a free email account. A free email account was offered to everybody who's available over here. You can just start to collaborate with thousands of schools who are already using email. We are offering free web page to anybody who wants to, like here, but you have to have an email for that. So once you have an email, you plug in the modem and stuff, you can just get online, and there is no talking to that. You already have all the stuff. I'll just get back to it and let Suzanne this got in between. So after she concludes, I'll tell you how and where and how much it's going to cost you. It's not going to cost you much. So I'll just tell you how and where and whatever it requires.
I just want to know about the reaction of the children, how they took to it.
Yeah, I invited a child over here who was collaborating with them. He's not here yet. I'll just give him a call while he'll be here. We also called a school teacher of hers who met her and said that this particular person flunked and failed in English last year, and he is above average now in English. It's particular English because she's an English teacher and they have been collaborating in English, they have been communicating in English. So that was the particular slip which went down. If anybody anybody wants tea or anything, just please ask. I mean, we want you to feel comfortable. Yeah, just where you were.
Okay, if I heard correctly, you want more information about students, the effects on students?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Communicating, what kind of experiences you've had, how to do it, and what did you have to really get this task? Any difficulties in class organization?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, like classroom arrangements. I went from only allowing students to use the computer and use the internet after school for 15 minutes and at lunch, and now I rotate my students on the computer. I have an assignment that I'm working on with them at their desk, and I rotate the students onto the computer, and they're used to it. At first it was hard for them. Whoever's on the computer, the rest of them are going, oh, I want to be on the computer, you know. But now they're used to it. They know they're going to get to it eventually. And as far as the achievement, in the state of Florida, exams are very important. You would think that we were living in Japan because like this year, my students took 3 very extensive achievement tests, state and national tests, and also a Florida writing exam. Ever since I've been using the internet with my students, my classes score about 3rd or 4th from the highest in our county. And my school is located in a very low-income area. I'm not sure if you'd understand this, but 75% of my students receive government-funded lunch. And the only way you can get government-funded lunch is if you are at poverty level or below. So my students tend to be poor, okay? And even so, even though they do not have the experiences that middle-class families might have, I think things like using the internet, opening up their world like that on a regular basis, makes them want to read and write and look for answers. And that's what school is all about. Reading, writing, looking for answers, asking questions. And the internet just makes it so much more exciting, quicker, more convenient, so much information out there. On the other hand, you know, another problem is there is so much information out there. Where do you start? You know what I'm talking about? So you as a teacher have to get in there and get your hands dirty, you know? You have to...
Another question is really related to, because you said that in your school in Florida, you do have this difficulty about exams, so there is an older method of teaching. I mean, they're not that, which is true of Pakistan as well. They're very exam and, you know, focused on things like that, on so many tests each time you complete a unit, you must do so many tests and so on. Now with that, have you had other teachers, other subject teachers working with you, or are you a computer teacher and you're the only one who's interested in getting children to look for it?
I am the main one, but slowly but surely I have included other teachers off and on. I believe I was the first one at my school, and now our librarian, I'm not sure what you call that teacher here, but the teacher who's in charge of the library, she now has the internet in the library. And which is great, because when students are doing research for anything, they don't just have the encyclopedias, the magazines, the journals, the books, the novels, but they also have the internet. They can look up information that way. That was great. Our principal, finally, has an email address. And again, she was like me. She didn't know what her email address was. So she sent me an email address and asked one of my students to tell her what her email address was. So I've helped other teachers get signed up with email in my school. There aren't very many that are using it regularly, but it's hard to get used to. You know, I've been using it since 1991. So this is 6 or 7 years. You know, it took me this long. I kind of feel confident now, but I have so much more to learn. And that's okay with me. I don't mind still learning.
What about your the administration? How do they think through it? Or do they have a lot about, you can have, if this means investment, or this means a different method of teaching, or whatever. Did you have difficulty with it?
In my school, in my community, it wouldn't matter what I did in my classroom, as long as my students are achieving, if they are making good grades, if they are passing, if when they take exams they have good scores, they don't care. You understand what I'm saying? So, but if my students, if I couldn't show proof like that my students were improving, then that would be another story. But using the computers and internet, you're almost guaranteed improvement.
Are you a subject teacher then, or are you a computer teacher?
I'm certified to teach English, social studies, Spanish, and I'm working on a degree in instructional technology right now. When I'm through, I could officially be an internet computer teacher, but right now I teach internet as an elective, kind of like art, drama, those type classes. But I fit the internet in my English class. You know, English is reading, writing, listening, speaking, thinking, right? Any language, or do, same thing, 5 things you're doing. But using the internet, you can do all 5 in a very exciting, meaningful way.
And the reason why I was asking this was, if either if you're a computer teacher, then you're talking about the internet or about how it works, or are those executive classes the ones that you're dealing with? But if you're a subject teacher, it opens up a greater world for you on the internet, because you're actually able to access information, send information while you at the same time learn how to do it.
Right.
But therefore I always feel that for schools to begin, whether they begin on internet or whether they begin working with computers, it's always much nicer for a subject teacher to begin
Right.
rather than the computer teacher beginning.
Yeah, that's right. And even though I teach English, my students are learning information from all subject areas: geography, history, religion, home economics, even just everything, all at once. You know, it's fast learning, integrated learning. It all makes sense the way you learn with the internet. I don't think the internet just teaches students knowledge either. It's not just knowledge and skills that they're learning, but they're learning to be a better person. For example, I told you about the students that my students were writing to who had committed crimes, and they are my students' age. But another example of that type of thing is 3 weeks ago, or almost a month ago, well, for about a year, my students have been writing to a class from Winchester, Virginia. And 1 month ago, one of their EPALs committed suicide. And that was very scary for my students. And when they found out, it was like, I think 10 minutes of silence. And they would not have known this boy if it wasn't for the internet. And after the 10 minutes of silence, one of my students said, well, what could we do? I said, I don't know, what do you suggest? And so they started talking, and I said, who do you think's hurt the most? The family. So what can we do about it? And so they wrote poems and letters, and they bought some flowers and things like that. We put it in a package and we mailed it. So my students learn compassion, you know, feelings, caring about other people. They might not have ever experienced that in their life, maybe, if it wasn't for the internet. So it's not just knowledge, but it's learning to care and learning to cooperate. Yeah. Any other questions?
We have Nicole from Australia, and we have Charles from New Zealand.
Okay, so online we also have a girl named Nicole, a student in Australia, and another individual from Texas. Can you see something? No, not yet.
It's an
Internet phone?
no, it's a chat. It's a
Chat?
chatting. You can hear them. I mean, they have what is saying. We can hear them, but I mean, again, they don't have video.
You know, already because of people, I mean, who in here has something to do with an internet business or computer business? Anybody in here? You? And many of you have an email account and so forth. I don't know what you think of your position in the internet world, but I think that Pakistan has a very good reputation already in the internet world. I think you're ahead of many countries. You're almost ahead of some first world countries like Germany. He was talking about some problems that Germany is having online. People don't want to get online. It's expensive, but you have at your fingertips inexpensive methods of accessing the internet. That is wonderful. In America, I would say that every other software engineer is from this area. So, you know, this is a big world. And much of what my students have learned about the internet and computers has been from people from this country. So I want you to be proud of your country. And I would love to see you be a part of bringing more people from your country into this exciting activity. And if you're, one thing that crosses my mind is if you're afraid, you know, you have your own culture, your own religion, your own traditions. And if you're afraid that opening up the world to young people like that is going to make them drop what's familiar to them, it won't. It won't. My students have been writing to Farouk, his cousin. He's 15 years old, and other young people from this country. And my students share with each other, with them, their beliefs in religion and culture, manner of dress, food, you know, and there's no judgments made. It's very exciting and interesting to my students. They didn't, I mean, for example, they didn't know that it's wrong to eat pork in any country. They didn't know that. They learned that from students here. They didn't know that people, and some women cover their heads and faces. They didn't understand why. But your students taught my students why. My students have actually even discussed with your students and compared the Bible, you know, and the Quran. My students now know about Muhammad, and I think I'm supposed to say, help me, peace be upon him. And so I don't want you to be afraid that it's going to just change everything. It's not. You can still hang on to who you are and be proud of that, but also open up and see what other people are like and share what you have, because people want to know about you. I know my students are very excited about knowing as many people as they can. So, any more questions? We need more questions.
Could you please give the detail of what is the website and FTPs and brokers?
Things like that? It's in those packets, but I can give you an idea. Pardon me? Like I said, homepage is like a home. It's like in a neighborhood. Let's pretend like Karachi is the internet. And you have all these neighborhoods. Each neighborhood might be, I might be explaining it wrong, but each neighborhood I think is like a server. And within each server, each neighborhood, there are homes. Okay, that's just like on the internet. There are servers, that's the neighborhood. The homes are the home pages. You have a home in your neighborhood, you can have a home page on the internet. Okay, the home page on the internet, you can design it, or you can have someone else help you design it. Pakistan Computers has a program which they can help you make your own homepage free. And you just give all the information about yourself that you want people in the world to have. Whatever you want them to know about you. Your business, your picture, your telephone number, your email address, things you're interested in, things you want to know about, questions that you have. And once you get familiar with the internet, your favorite home pages. See, you have a home, you know how you like to go visit other homes? Certain homes, they're your friends and family, right? It's just like on the internet. You keep using the internet and you find some home pages, some homes more interesting. And you want to go back and visit them over and over. Okay, FTP, it stands for File Transfer Protocol. It just means, I know many of you have at least played a computer game, like maybe Tetris, I don't know. I'm not sure. Lemmings? Is that a game? Yeah? Okay. You like that game a whole lot? You have it? Maybe it's shareware? Then you can send a copy of it to somebody else in the world who's a friend or whatever, and you send it by FTP. But, you know, it's a file, special file, like a software program that you send by the internet. It's not just email that you can send files by the internet. Okay, what else? You said FTP and HTTP.
I think Gopher. We won't never use it.
Gopher.
I have been
Gopher?
using internet for 2 years. I have never even touched Gopher.
Now
We wouldn't need it. It's Gopher started like in 6 years back, when there was no something like web pages. There was no such thing before. There was only email, Gopher, Archie, couple of weird more names, but they never been used. I mean, normal user doesn't use them anymore. FTP is also being used by very, very few people. I mean, who want to make their own web pages or some kind of that stuff, or maybe want to transfer some files. But if you want to transfer a file now, you just attach it to an email and it goes. I mean, you don't have to learn FTP to do that. It's something which you might need, but again, it's going to be such like talking about COBOL in this class. I mean, it's something which nobody would be using. So I would rather not enter into that. It's going to get confusing. If you want to ask something like that, you can ask in the separate session. But I mean, for everybody, it would just.
We should stick to the subject.
Yeah. The main thing is that I personally, she is personally using just email, just email. That alone has helped us more than enough. I mean, that particular thing gets you communicating between each other. Gets a lot done. I mean, you wouldn't even need, web page is something which now people are using, but again, email is the basic. Like in Germany, she was telling me that they don't even send their email for 10 days. I mean, and the users don't have access to computers. They write it down in the English class, the email, and give it to the teacher, and they just type it in themselves, and they send it. So you don't even have to let the student use the computer for email. You have some new facility on voice mail. There are million new facilities coming in, but again, if we talk into that, it would be more complicated. Only 5 users are here who are using internet. If I start doing that, nobody will understand the main thing. The main cause is to get you started. That is the main cause. I want everybody over here get home and start using email. I mean, at least not everybody, 80% of them. So that is the major point, that you should just stick to basics for now. If you just start to run, you just fall down.
Who in here is a teacher? How many teachers do we have in here? Okay, all right. What kind of writing assignments do you give your students?
Actually, I'm not a language teacher. I